Hi everyone, and welcome to our event today together with Google. And we are really excited. We have a lot of things to share, and we also look forward to do a lot of live demos and also share all the insights and learnings we've had with working on building agents for the last year. So happy to see so many people in the room, and we're also super happy to have a lot of people on the live stream. More than 250 people signed up. So yeah, sorry for not being able to fix even bigger room, but happy to see all of you guys who are in the room today, and also to see you guys online.
And this will, of course, be an event about AI, and there's quite a lot of people here, so it can be a little bit hard to get all the levels in, but we will do our best. And I think the live demos will definitely be, I think, a learning for everybody. So yeah, we look forward to today and very excited to be here. So let's talk about who's on stage tonight. You can see Jonas, you can probably see me on the very right. And then we also have Carl coming from Google. He comes at 3 o'clock. And then Johan Lietner is also coming, and he's in the back right now, taking care of all the audio. But yeah, these are the lineup today. And yeah, let's get into it, Jonas.
Yeah.
First of all, maybe not everybody's aware, but we are both co-owners of Keywordio. And I started the company 10 years ago. And you see quite a lot of bubbles here. I am an ex-Googler, so I started with the bubble at the top right. That wasn't even invented 10 years ago, but it's the Google Ads logo. And now we do a lot of things. So if we had only done Google Ads today, then I think I wouldn't be standing on stage because we would probably be bankrupt. So we evolve like the market evolves, and we're doing a lot of different things. Today, we're here to talk about AI, which is one of the things we do, AI transformation. And yeah, we are looking forward to talking about one part of what we do, and hopefully everybody will go from this room a little bit smarter than when you came in.
So within agents and AI, we actually use all the big foundation models out there today. And we work with the biggest labs. So using the OpenAI technology stack, we're working a lot with the Google technology. Of course, Anthropic and Meta and Microsoft are also high up there. And I think it's very interesting to see the capabilities that starts to emerge from these different companies, and also the enormous pace of new innovation that is coming. And you will see some of the new capabilities today, but I mean, fast forward 6 months, many of these will be rolled out globally in products that everybody use pretty much daily. And I mean, that's where we're going to see the big impact. So I'm really excited about that. And when it comes to the Google tech stack, we are working a lot with, of course, the Gemini family, the whole model suite there. We build these using Vertex AI and Google Cloud. And you will see some of the demos we are using what is called the ADK, Agent Development Kit from Google, and also the really newly released A2A protocol, which is a protocol that helps agents collaborate with each other. So you actually have now protocols that helps agents to communicate and collaborate to solve a task, which I think will be very important in the future.
So some of you may already understand everything you want to say, and some of you is maybe a little bit newer, but as with everything, you need to talk about it to be able to understand more. So this is just one step to help everybody understand more, including everyone in this room.
So what we do when it comes to the services that we provide, of course, we build pilot programs from small agents to big, more complex system. We help with education programs, support and maintenance. And we're going to talk a lot about later evals and trace analysis. And I know that many people haven't heard about that, but that is something that is super important when you build these agents. So that is something we do a lot of. And it's really fundamentally when you build these systems to be really good on that. And then, of course, being an advisory board on the boards, like what should you build, what should you buy, and what should you prioritize when it comes to these different projects. So what's coming?
Let's see how a next-gen agent can hopefully help me get this last order correct. We're going to start a brand new voice interaction with our agent here.
Hi there. Welcome to Simple Home and Garden. Is this Patrick?
Hey, yeah, this is Patrick. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you too, Patrick. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. It looks like you've been shopping with us recently. I see you have a few things in your cart already. What can I help you with today?
Yeah, so I just bought some plants and I'm trying to pick out potting soil and fertilizer, and I'm not sure if I'm getting the right stuff. Could you help me with that?
I can definitely help with that, Patrick. To give you the best recommendations, could you show me the plants you bought? I can take a look and help you choose the best soil and fertilizer. I'm sending a video request to your browser now. Great, I can see you. Just hold the plants up to the camera so I can help identify them.
Yeah, so I have about 40 of these in various different colors.
So that's a demo from Google I/O this year. And of course, there's a lot of things that is interesting in that demo. It's the voice quality, it's how it speaks, it's the context and knowledge this agent has, it's the understanding of what you have done on site. And I know that some of you in the audience are already building these kind of systems. Also sharing video, working with other formats than not only speech or text. This will be very interesting in the future. And we're going to dig more into how these systems are built and what I think they will have in terms of impact in the future, both for like client-facing applications, but also for applications where you're actually built for your internal team or a large organization, for example.
And due to our live event, so people are also following online, we have to do it via the computer, which is maybe a little bit hard from the people in the back to hear, but we hope you could still hear it.
Yeah, and everyone will get the slides and the context afterwards, so you will have all the content from today. Another thing that I think is very cool is that this year, Google actually won a gold medal in the math competition, really the Math Olympics, which is a very, very advanced. If you look at the problem here, I spent 5 years at KTH working with applied math. This is like 10 levels above my level. I am not even close to solve these kind of problems, but that an agent is able to solve this. I mean, imagine what you can do with an agent that can reason and solve these kind of things. It can solve a lot of different problems. So the capability now on these systems is actually super high. Of course, not everyone needs to solve these kind of math problems, but the capability is out there.
And maybe some of you know that, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, somebody created, I suppose, a program to play chess, right? And then they started playing against potentially me or whatever. And then at one point, the grandmaster could always beat them. But now, Magnus Carlsen said, there's no way I can beat a computer anymore, right? So it's like the advancement is going like crazy, and it's the same within AI, right? So if you tried something 2 years ago and it didn't work, try again, I would say.
Yeah, or try again in 1 month.
Yeah.
So if you work as a manager on a bigger company, like how do you plan your roadmap? What do you think? What should you think about? And I think we have sort of 2 questions that I think are quite fundamentally. Can you tell us a bit more about those?
Yeah, I'll start with number 2. Should I buy GPUs or headcount? So this morning I had an interview with a potential new account manager for Keywordio, and just sharing let's say not a personal but a company story. It went really well, and I'm like, okay, should we hire this person? Yes or no? We are not at the level yet where we're like, of course we know how much that person would cost, but should we invest that into AI, and what would that look like? So we are not there yet. But I think in 1 year, 2 years, whatever, we will be there, right? But right now it's a little bit, let's say, vague for us. What do we get out of that? Because it's not like there's this program to do it, but we are shifting more and more of our costs towards AI to be able to solve the needs for our clients in the future. That doesn't mean we're there yet, but I think it's something that everyone in organizations should ask themselves, should I invest this into GPUs or into headcounts? And GPUs, Jonas, do you want to explain what that is?
Yeah, of course. These models takes a lot of computer power, and GPUs, like for you bought NVIDIA stocks for a couple of years ago, congratulations. I mean, that's really important. But it's not only, I mean, buying GPUs or AI tokens. That's the question that you need to ask yourself. And of course, what projects should you actually bet on in today's world. So, like we said, you will get all the content here. And of course, this is a big slide with a lot of text, but we want to explain like what success looks like. And if you build an AI agent to solve something, I think it's very important that you clear out what does success looks like for that case. Is it about saving time, increase sales, make the customer connection better, make it faster? What is it that you're trying to do? And I think mapping your use cases to this is very important. So what we do when we build these workshops, we plan out typically with a management team or a bigger audience, and we plan out different projects. So each dot here is a project. And then we score that project. Do we believe it will have high impact on these success metrics? Or on the X scale, will it be easy to implement as an agent? Some agents are very complex, some of them are easy. And of course, you want to find things that are sort of easy to implement and have high impact. So that's how you should think about what should you do and what should you not spend time on, because there's a lot of ideas in this space. And I think that's very important to think about where you spend your time. And another way to look at it is like every time you use a chatbot today, if it's Gemini or something from OpenAI or any other big model, it's like an iceberg, and you only see a very, very small part of that. You see the little box where you put in your prompts. And then you have a big iceberg underneath. And of course, there's a lot of steps below to make this work. So if you're a bigger company today, like, should you just pay for an enterprise license on these different cases? Should you buy a vertical solution? Should you buy something that is wide? For example, should you buy or create your own translation agent for Google or Teams, for example? Probably not, because the big tech companies will provide this pretty much for free because it will be sort of standard. But when you have projects that are very niche, so if you have projects like, let's say that you need to do a lot of background controls in Sweden, for example, for every time you sign a new client, potentially, or every time you hire a new person, maybe that is something you're doing with for example, UC credit report, for example. But I think in the future, you will need to have an agent that continuously doing that a lot. And of course, that use case is very specific because you need access to Skatteverket, SCB, and a lot of different data sources to actually do this. And it's really a client-specific issue. So there, it's probably worth spending quite some time to improve that process. And that's the difference between a wide problem, like big solution for Google or Meets or Teams, or something that is very, very niche, but very valuable for your company. So I think that's very important to distinguish where you put the effort into building these projects or just buying them off the shelf. So this is how we typically look at it. So when we ask the question, like how many people use AI, everybody raised their hands, right? But when we start breaking down how people are using it in companies, like on the first level, we are at the no control stage. People in the team use the free versions of these tools, which means that they can potentially train on your data in the future. Then you have bought the license. Doesn't matter if it's an enterprise level or team license or whatever. But then, of course, you have control over your data. The third step is where you start building agents for custom tasks, like, for example, the background control, for example. Then if you see that that is very important, you can start integrating this into the processes of your company. So you don't sit and prompt this agent. It actually is run completely in the background. And then the final step is where these systems are actually integrated into your current systems, like into your CMS, for example, that it does translations as soon as you put up a new web page for one language. So defining where you are and where you need to be with each use case is also very important in this step. So which model should you choose when you're building these agents? Like we said, do everyone need to use the latest one that can be like a gold medalist in the Olympics? No, I don't think so. You need to find a use case that is important. And one of the voice agents that we're going to demo later, that one, for example, you need to be super fast, low latency, because it needs to feel responsive. So then it's more important to have a fast model compared to a super smart model, So you need to have which one are you actually trying to use and which one you're building.
And most people probably knew about ChatGPT first, right? And I would imagine that most people are like, oh yeah, ChatGPT is the best. I think it's the first, right? But it doesn't mean that it's always the best at what you want to do. So make sure that you understand what it is you want to do, and then pick a model that suits that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, map up your organization. You have an org chart. Look at each team. What is it that we need for each team? And like we said, now we're going to have a look at the voice agent as an example. That's just one example of many. And defining what's the potential upside and the impact that your business can have of these things, because there will be a whole layer of agents in the future supporting the teams in your organization.
So one of my friends heads up a team at a bank, and he says he has 10 people under him, but they also have a department that does translations, right? I think if I was that translation team, I would probably be a bit scared, because I would just put it into, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini, and then have a translation. Most of you have probably tried to do that. I think it's perfect. They're not doing it, but I think it's more for compliance reasons, but that will change over time. So if you're, let's say, a plumber and you're afraid of AI, maybe you shouldn't be, but if you're a translator, I would probably see if I can upskill somewhere else.
Yeah. So the question we said, should I buy GPUs or headcount? Right now, the answer is maybe not so clear. But if you look at it, like, what is it that companies actually buy from humans today? So we buy reasoning, intelligence, we buy experience, and we also buy time. So of course, if you have a person that is very intelligent, that has great experience in a topic, and that person put a lot of time in, of course, that person is going to be very valuable to your company. It's going to be the same with agents, because like you see, if they can reason and think, solve math problems like that, if they have experience and know what your business looked like and why made you win like 2-3 years in a row, of course, they will be able to help a team of humans to do even better. And of course, they have a lot more time, but then you need to buy GPUs and more tokens, because that's what makes them work.
And so this morning, as I had my interview with a potential new employee to Keywordio, I mean, in essence, what we more or less are guaranteed is his time, right? The reasoning and the experience we have to, of course, qualify. But most of you probably know the company Klarna, right? Very, very big company, but they also have a lot of employees, right? I think support is one of the things where, even if you say you're a tech company, Google also has a lot of support people, right? But they expect, and I don't know if it's within the next X years, but maybe let's say 3 years, there will be a unicorn just with 10 employees because of AI, which is crazy. But they can do it.
For sure. So let's start up the first demo. This demo, it's going to be about customer experience. And Morten, I know you had some challenges with booking the flights, right? You live in Copenhagen, so yeah.
Yes, so I had a problem, and I called SAS support, and they said, we're very busy. There's probably a 30-minute wait. Do you want to? I don't know if it was an AI agent, but it was definitely an automated response saying, press 1 to get a call back. So I pressed the call back for within half an hour. They called me back 2 hours and 50 minutes later. And at that time, it was 11 at the night. So I was sleeping. But, that is one area where I didn't get my problem solved. And I would say the customer experience was maybe not the best.
No.
So I hope there's nobody here from SAS. But then
so let's switch over to the demo.
And for this demo, everybody is quiet, but we just need to remain quiet because it's going to come from this computer.
So what we have built here is just a mock-up of a Tesla website, and we have a voice agent connected to it.
Hej, Sigrid från Tesla.
Hej Sigrid, det var Jonas här.
Hej Jonas, vad kan jag hjälpa dig med idag?
Jag behöver byta vinterdäck på min bil.
Säg det, jag kan hjälpa dig med det. Vilket registreringsnummer har din bil?
GSB 56T har jag.
Tack, jag ser att din bil är en Tesla Model Y. Vi kan boka in ett byte av vinterdäck när det passar dig. Har du någon specifik dag eller tid som fungerar bäst för dig?
Ja, men torsdag nästa vecka vore bra.
Jag ser att vi har en tid ledig på torsdag klockan 10 på förmiddagen. Skulle det passa dig?
Ja, superbra. Och du, jag hade en till fråga. Jag hade i somras fick jag en lånehund. Kan man ställa in dog mode på Teslan?
Ja, det kan man. Jag ser här att en av våra tekniker kommer att uppdatera mjukvaran på din bil så att dog mode är förinställt i samband med däckbytet. Du hade också anmält detta separat.
Pretty good, right? And like Morten said, I mean, this is just the point of doing this in Swedish for the English audience was just to show like there's a lot of English voices, but the point here is that doing this in Swedish to make it feel local, native, and not the robotic. Because I think I spoke to Emma, for example. You have worked in customer support, right? And I think you shared a story with me that the first question you got a lot was like, "Are you a robot?" And I mean, why do people ask that? They ask that because they have had so many bad experiences in the past. And if you can nail the user experience and make it instant, then they're not going to have an issue if it's a robot. But if you have an issue, you don't get your problem solved and end up trying to get somebody to call you back, right? That's going to be an issue. So this is about to really, really work. And this can enhance and save the cost for a lot of companies who needs to, yeah, it's easier to get the call. Or why don't the Tesla call me back when I have the time? This robot can work 24/7. And it can call me, text me, whatever.
Probably less vacation days as well.
Less vacation. So in terms of the time, it has a lot of time. And as long as we bring it the right context to know about the registration, get the registration number and figure those things out, then of course they can solve everything. And then our little Borov dog can have dog mode as preset in the car, which is great. And I know Harvey would like the dog mode as well. Yeah.
So there's probably a lot of things behind the scenes that people here are wondering, like, how do we do it? Do you want to give a few words on how you built this?
Yeah, sure. So, and this also, before we just go through the details there. So of course, this can be applied in any industry, right? Everyone has this kind of friction in the customer connection. Could be pre-sales, could be post-sales, could be internally, could be a service team that is maybe out on the run all the time and just have access to a phone, for example. Maybe it would be easier for them to just give a call, for example, to somebody. So there's a lot of different options here, how to do it. And like I said, I mean, a lot of people are really annoyed when you get to a customer support. You maybe scream to them or, you know, you're not a nice person, but an agent in many time, that agent will be able to handle that in a good way. And of course, a high share of the questions are actually the same.
No question.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question, it's a great question. Like, what's the cost of this? How many API calls were made? So in terms of the cost, that's depending on what foundation model you choose. Right now, this one is based on, we can actually go to that slide so you actually see. So this is the tech stack that we have used. So we have used Gemini 2.5 Flash Lite, which is the latest model. I think the cost for this one is right now is output tokens is $0.4 per million tokens. It is depending on how complex the problem is that you need to solve, how many API calls it makes. It's also depending on how advanced the question. This one, it's actually made only one MCP call to get the registration, check up my car, and see if, that is pretty much what this one did for it. So it will be dependent on the use case. And then, of course, it goes down to, if you get this to solve your problem, okay, can we do it with the model that costs 1/10 of this, for example? And then it's about trying to optimize for cost. So that's a great question.
But can you say it becomes cheaper in the future and better?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And most likely it's cheaper than a person.
Yeah. And typically what we have seen is that token cost is going down like 10x every 12 months. But the same time, they are releasing smarter models, and then they release it. So it's depending on, a token that you were using for 1 year ago will be a lot less intelligent than what it is today if you pick a new model, for example. And then we used from a Swedish startup here in Stockholm, Lemonado. So we worked with them to build this MCP connection to make the calls. And super happy that we were able to show this.
And maybe you said it, but let's say, why was it that you chose Gemini 2.5 Flash and not one of the models you showed before that won the gold medal, for example?
Yeah, it is a good question. But I mean, this is a very simple question. Like, just check in on the registration number. It's very simple. I don't need to have the most fancy, the most smart agent. I don't need to have one who's taken gold in math Olympics to solve this. So it's better to have a model that is a lot cheaper, faster, so the experience is better.
So would it be like you don't put a Lamborghini motor into a Fiat 500? Maybe?
Exactly like that. So great, the next demo. In this demo, we have built a team of agents that are collaborating together. So we have picked a manager, a finance controller, and a digital marketing specialist. So before we look at this, I'm going to just fire up the demo because it will take some time to get this team of agents to work. So here.
What do you want them to do, Jonas?
I cannot speak and type at the same time, sorry. So last year. So I'm just going to fire this one off so the team can start collaborate. So what is happening now, and we're going to show you what is happening, that they start to collaborate. So there is this manager of the agents that gets my user prompt, do a deep analysis of November 2024. And then this agent's going to start to collaborate. But we mentioned in the beginning here that there's a lot of talk about AI agents that hallucinate, you don't understand, it's a black box. So I mentioned evals and trace analysis. And that is the whole point of this example, to show you why that is so important. And for that, I want to share you this picture first. And like disclaimer, sorry for everyone who's big hearts on other teams. But this is Otto, my son. He's 8 years old, and I'm a football coach for him. Last Saturday, we got beaten with like 8-2 by Brommapojkarna. They were completely crushing us. It's not fun to lose, but for everyone who's played football, that's the reality. But you can decide as a coach if you want to go from that game, like, damn it, we lost, or if you want to go from that game and think, like, why did we lose? So 5 of the goals that they scored was due to one specific tactic that they were using. So they have the left and right wingers. They were running up on the side. And I know, I see a couple of Brommapojkarna smiles over here. Yeah, good job, guys. You have a great coaching staff. But they were doing that so great. So in the end, they were like 2 against 1, and they scored 5 of the goals against us with that method. So what we're seeing here is that evals, that's the score of the football game, and trace analysis, that's the tactic. So if you're a manager and you have a team that use AI agents, and the team comes to you and say, well, these hallucinate, like, well, we have a problem here. The question you ask back is, great, what's your eval score? And what do we need to improve? And what does the trace analysis say? Because if you ask those questions, people will need to explain why the models are doing like they do. And that's the key with this, that you need to run your evals, the score of the game, and you need to understand when you are losing, why are you losing? And this is actually pretty cool. So we changed the tactics for the day after. We had another game against AIK, and after the second half, we were leading by 5-0. So, I mean, finding out this and solving it, that is pretty cool. And it's the same building agents, that when you figure this out to implement the logic, then you see insane results on these things.
And then they probably scored again, and then you start over again.
Yeah, exactly. They did. You know, like it's changing all the time. So let's see how our team of agents are doing over here.
And was it worse for the father or for the son to lose?
Yeah, the father is not the best on losing, but he's working on improving that as well. What we're looking at here is let's have a quick look at what the agents are actually doing here. So here you actually see here the manager has called the head of controlling agent to look up what happened last year in November. Then if we go a bit further down, we have the digital marketing expert that are looking into the same month with insights from the full P&L analysis. And then we can do what is called the trace analysis. This is might be a bit technical, but what we can do here is that we can actually follow through exactly all the steps that this team of agents has done to come to this conclusion, which is pretty cool. So if somebody made some mistake in these different steps, we can go in and look at exactly that. So that's why this is important to understand.
What do you get out of all this?
Yeah, exactly. So what you get out of this in the end is that you can go from losing a game against Brommapojkarna to actually winning a game against Brommapojkarna, and you can learn super fast. And you don't have a team that comes back and tell you that the agents are hallucinating. This is not working. So that's why you need to work on trace and evals and be really, really good on this.
I'll now hand it over to Johan, who will go through a photo shoot with you guys.
Thank you so much.
Do you need help putting in, or you're a pro?
I'm fine. Great, but thank you, Jonas. And now, as you guys talked about earlier, the cost of like people, it can be quite expensive. So it's with like a photo shoot or actually create content in general. This is an example of, it's not a real case, but like Meli is one of our clients. Like, for example, every time you create content, it costs quite a lot of money. Like imagine if you are a smaller team, you can't really arrange like a photo shoot and everything by yourself. So you might need to hire some help. For example, in this case, if it is a sofa, I'm injured at the moment, so I'm not allowed to lift, sadly. But then I need help with 2 other people to carry the sofa somewhere else. Then if we don't have the power internal, we need to hire it. We also need like hire maybe a car or a truck to transport it. And like if you want a studio or an apartment, you also need to rent that. And then of course the photographer itself, if you're not a photographer. So that's like the cost of the photo shoot kind of stacks up quite a bit. So what you can do, is it worth of actually creating it yourself or taking a little bit of help of AI? And of course you can combine it quite well. So what you can do for this, if we take an example, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, but AI is improving basically every day. So in some cases it works better than others.
And I suppose it also leads back to the invest in GPUs or invest in people, right? So 5 years ago, I think it would be quite daring if you said, okay, we will not do this photo shoot with people, we'll just use AI.
Yeah.
But let's see what we can do now, and then the future will be even brighter.
Exactly. So in this case, we took 2 products as an example, and 1 actually real photo shoot. And the outcome is quite different. One might be approved, the other one might not be. So in this case, one might have worked to recreate as an ad, while the other didn't. And in that sense, you saved quite a lot of money if you approved it and everything went on.
And we have clients who spend millions of kroners on a photo shoot, right?
Yeah.
We also have clients who spend 25,000, but let's say that it depends on your need for it, of course, but this is definitely, let's say, a helping hand.
Yeah. And photos is usually a lot cheaper than videos. And taking use of simple photo, it's a lot cheaper because both the filming, the equipment, etc. And not talking bad about the photographer, but the video photographer usually charge a lot more money. And so when it comes to a bigger photo shoot, and as we all know, videos are trending more and more, like the YouTube, the shorts and other social medias, that you need videos to actually stay relevant. And of course you have TV as well. So if you want to have a really high quality video shoot, it can cost, as Morten mentioned, wrap up in millions of kroners for just one video. So what we have done to basically save cost with Veo, which is a tool from Google. I think Veo3 is the most recent one. You can create different prompts to get the video that you basically want. And same as Morten and Jonas mentioned earlier, it costs GPU, so it's not free. So every video you create costs a little bit of money. But the better you are at creating the prompts, the better the outcome will be. And it's a few different ways you can do the prompts. Like, for example, if you have a trained AI agent that is connected to basically the feed, it can give you very detailed product information. It can do fonts, etc. So basically, the better brief you do, the better outcome it will be. So this, you can copy this prompt by yourself afterwards and test it out in Veo. But this is the outcome we got from this prompt.
And you wrote this prompt in 10 minutes or what?
Yeah, exactly. So I wrote the prompt, and we have a little bit more complicated a little bit later. But this is like, I wrote a normal prompt and then inserted it in Veo3. And this is the outcome. And basically on this one is only the video, but if you want to add like the logos and some text overlays and that can be done in post-production, but this was only done in Veo3. And if you rent that apartment in New York City, which was the name of the prompt, and also like the furniture, etc., I think the price is kind of stacked up, and that took me about 10 minutes to write, and a couple of dollars for the cost of the cloud. The other one is actually a real example from IKEA. So we got this from I think one of our like partners that we work with, and they created basically IKEA want to stand out quite a lot, because normal like furniture ad can be sometimes boring, sometimes fun. So what we did was basically, how can you actually grab attention from it? And similar as the other one, it was a written prompt, but something that also works a bit different with these like engines is it can hallucinate and do mistakes. And if you actually recode it into JSON script or a coding language, that will be a lot easier to understand and do less mistakes. And the more specific you are, like you can use what camera you're going to use, basically what lens. If you're a professional photographer, you can use like objectives, ND filters, etc., etc. So here it's very specific, and you can read it afterwards. But basically the outcome, it's like this. So, and like if you hired someone to do it, it probably costs quite a lot of money, like a motion designer, and you also need a photo shoot and different sections. And here, it's about 10 minutes to write the prompt.
So you're saying those 20 lines of code created this?
Yeah, exactly. And with Veo3, it's like a maximum, I think it's 1,000 characters, and so it's pretty good. So in this case, you can save a lot of money and time by using, for example, service like Veo3, and we created quite a few. So it's a lot of fun, and it's expanding with new versions all the time. It's get better and better, basically. So
Good. Thank you.
And now we'll introduce Carl, where he is from Google.
Thank you for coming.
Hi, great to be here. There was someone going to the Google office first but finding their way here. I think you changed place. It's not very far, so we're happy about that. So very glad to be here. My name is Carl Verrees. I work on Google on the ad side and working with partners. So supporting and helping the partners to grow your business together with them. But increasingly, this ad side is moving into the cloud side as well, because there's so much in today's marketing that is supported by AI and cloud, and that's what I want to dig a little deeper into. When I started working in the marketing industry in the end of the 80s, I think, there was no internet, there was no emails, there was definitely no data centers. and there was no online video. But we did marketing then as well. Maybe it was even easier then. But now, the first time you wrote an email and you could actually communicate, it was really impressive. Now it takes a little bit more to impress us, I think, because things are happening so quickly. I mean, being inside of Google in this kind of perfect storm is really exhausting, but also an extreme privilege to see what's happening. But I just want to start with a movie that showing something from, we call it Project Astra, and think about it as from a marketer's perspective.
Okay, let's do some tests. Tell me when you see something that makes sound.
I see a speaker, which makes sound.
What is that part of the speaker called?
That is the tweeter. It produces high-frequency sounds.
Give me a creative alliteration about these.
Creative crayons color cheerfully. They certainly craft colorful creations.
What does that part of the code do?
This code defines encryption and decryption functions. It seems to use AES-CBC encryption to encode and decode data based on a key and an initialization vector, IV.
That's right. What neighborhood do you think I'm in?
This appears to be the King's Cross area of London. It is known for its railway station and transportation connections.
Do you remember where you saw my glasses?
Yes, I do. Your glasses were on the desk near a red apple.
We swap
Swap.
to your
Ah,
presentation.
okay. Super, thank you. There we are. Yeah, that last piece will be really helpful to find the car keys, I think. But just imagine what we can, first of all, just imagine how much is going to happen in the background for this to be that fast. And for then to speak in natural language using picture, sound, and the way you put your voice into it, and you can even write, etc. And for it to be able to read that, it's just amazing what's happening, I think, in this space. And if you think about the AI in the big perspective, this is probably what's in the front line of what we have been doing right now at Google. You've probably all heard of AlphaFold and what's been doing, and how it's been helping when we outsourced it and open sourced it, helping doctors and professors finding medicines, helping to cure cancer, and also doing COVID. And we were super, super proud when this happened. And actually, Demis came to Stockholm in December to get the Nobel Prize for this. That does not happen to commercial companies very often. I don't think he needs the research money, actually. But that was the thought of the Nobel Prize. But this is really something. But going back to marketing, why do we think that this is applied mostly to marketing? I think this is kind of the curve we saw sometimes in 2003, like this, the super hype. If you say like ChatGPT here, that's very correct. They're better in PR than we are. And now we're moving into like the most essential, how do we actually get this into our business? How can we benefit from this? So going from the hype to the headache of implementing the things that we see into our day-to-day life to make it not just cheaper and replacing people, but actually making us as a company to grow faster, to do things better. That's, I think, where we should look first. How can we grow better? And we have looked at a study together that we done with McKinsey. And the question was what sectors are applying AI first? Which ones are ahead of others? And Marketing and sales comes very early in this space, and I think that that's the reason why this is so interesting for you, that this is an area for application that is very useful for us, maybe a little ahead of the curve than others. And I have a theory of why that is. It's because we are either trying to convince customers, or we're trying to sell something, or we have sold something to customers. And the end customers are very quick in adopting technology, particularly in the Nordic countries, actually, because customers are very picky. I found a quote on customers. Customers are increasingly hard to please. They want superior products and services, customers to their needs, supplied at great speed, at the lowest possible price, with added free services. That's exactly what customers want, isn't it? In every category. The interesting thing is that was written in 1994. And much hasn't changed, I think. They still want that. Some things have changed. Now they wanted, with just one push of, not two, not three, one push of a button, you should solve that, like Amazon does. Or when they just see something, yes, that, I want that, and then please deliver it to my door by tomorrow. Or when just speaking to a device, just like we saw in the Project Astra, yes, that's nice, that worked with me, I missed out the milk, can you please put that on my list and bring it to me tomorrow? Or even soon, just before thinking of it. And that's, I think, where AI comes in a lot, to understand the intent we have for things that's going to happen, and we can use that as marketers. So I'm going to put this into 3 sections, what we see in AI for marketing now. Some things that are where you already are using AI in your marketing, where it's already embedded. You might not even think about it. The second piece is more on the things that is more modular, where yes, this can be done, but it is a little hard in order to get it done into my workflow and how I work as an advertiser. These are the things you saw just before me with the pictures and how you do that. Amazing stuff, but how do I get it into a workflow and scale it to the 1,000 different ads I need to do, etc. And then we'll go for the more bespoke, where it hasn't come as far yet. I see potential, but it really needs bigger projects in order to get there. So let's first look at one place, and then I will look at ourselves, where we are really have really advanced AI into, and that is in the consumer journey, in how you can find your customers with Google. This is what used to be extremely manual. It has become extremely AI and automated driven, because what has happened with those customers that are increasingly hard to satisfy is that the consumer journey, when I studied this, it was like a funnel. There's no funnel. It doesn't happen like a sequence. It happens like a garnistan. I don't know the word in English. You jump around between searching, scrolling, screaming, etc., and you go back and forth. Sometimes you go in market and you're prepared to buy something fairly soon, and then you start to go out again and you're not in the mood for that, etc. The consumers are just extremely unpredictable, or they are predictably unpredictable. And what we have tried to do if I take search as an example, is to really try to understand the intent of the consumer and the context. What context have you been in, and what intent do you actually have? What is the question behind what you're searching for? So that to try to understand that. And this is, you've probably heard a lot, what's happening to search, and this is what's happening to search. Yes, search term of 3 words written in a Google browser, it's decreasing. But a lot of other ways of searching is increasing extremely much. Have every one of you tried Lens? Take out your, yes? Even if you, we are in Apple country. It used to be like 50-50 Apple. Android in the Nordics is much more Apple for some reason. But if you have it in, like I have it in a Pixel, or in a Samsung, it's just directly in your browser, and you can just hold it up, and then you can get shopping links, etc. I tried this once for actually 2-3 years ago when we had this as a testing project. And then me and my wife, we saw this at a spa hotel that we went to. Shit, that I want. How the shit is going to find out what that is? I want to buy that for home. And then I just tried it, and then shopping links came out right away. Extremely impressive to get all that together. And now it's something we try to do every. It's like 20 billion of these searches a month nowadays worldwide. Another thing that has really been capturing the youth is circle of search. Have you tried this? You take a picture. If you have an Android or if you have a Pixel, you can just pull up, and then you take the picture and just or you scrabble across it. There are apps for it in Apple's telephones if you want to test it. And then from that, it finds out, the glasses I wanted to look like. Quite impressive. But then maybe what you've now seen, this is in 200 countries now, AI overviews. And that's when in the background, the system understands if the question is complex enough. Then it goes into what we call AI overviews, and you get a much more targeted answer to what the intent we think you have. Mostly it's correct, not always, of course. And then the links you get are much more in depth to understand that this is actually what I want. So they might, for some categories, there might be fewer clicks, but they're much more relevant instead. In some categories, it's the opposite. So these are things how we are using AI for ourselves integrated. And when you work with us, this is already in the background, as long as you decided to use our PMax and other things that we have. But your agency knows that well. I think that this is the next level of this, that you will see this in Gemini, in the chatbots, connected directly when you ask there, going direct into the shopping links, so you can get it there when you actually are looking for something. Maybe you're fixing your house and you need something, so that you can solve it right away. But this was the AI that increasingly is integrated into, and this will of course increase much more. But maybe a little bit more interesting is the marketing where it's more modular still, where you probably need help by a partner who can work with you on this. And let's look at the creative side. Imagen 4, so you saw before, great pictures coming out with just prompts.